Hopefully everyone got time to have a sneaky cigarette or coffee or their scone there. And we'll move on with the morning. We have a really exciting, well, our whole day is really exciting. I'm going to keep saying that over and over, but it's really exciting again now. Next up, we have Grace Hillis. Grace Hillis is a health science librarian specialising in intellectual disability and mental health. She is on an internal committee called Information Transformation, which aims to make information more accessible for people with intellectual disabilities. She is also a committee member of the Career Development Group of the Library Association of Ireland. Grace Hillis.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon at this point. Thank you for having me. People with an intellectual disability have significant lifelong difficulties with learning and understanding, and learning and using the skills needed to cope with everyday life. While some people with an intellectual disability are wonderful readers, 60% of adults in their 40s and over with an intellectual disability in Ireland cannot read their own name. I'm going to talk about making stories more accessible to some people with an intellectual disability. I did interactive storytelling with children, multisensory storytelling with adults, and a book club with older adults. I work in an organisation that provides services to people with intellectual disability, and beside where I work there is a special school. So I did storytelling with 2 classes from the school. They ranged in age from 8 years old up to teenagers. I found books such as Toy Story, Aladdin, and this book here, Finn and the Leprechaun's Gold. And I made big pictures from some aspects of the story, and I used objects to bring the stories to life. So in this story, Finn and the Leprechaun's Gold, there was a leprechaun who got stuck in the well, and I borrowed braces from my granddad, and I got a tie and a handkerchief, and the children tied them together to rescue the leprechaun from the well. And you might be able to see the bottle at the back there. Well, there was some rain in the story, so some of the children may have got a little wet. And there's a brush there, and everyone passed it around, and that was used to represent a thorny shrub. I got to know the children through one boy in the school used to come into our library almost every day, and he loved picking out his books and chatting with the library staff. So I did the stories in one of the classrooms, and I did them for a few years, one story every few months. And there was one exception to the location where our service moved from the Navan Road in Dublin 7 over to Clonsilla beside Blanchardstown, and so the children came out to visit. And the library is located on a campus where there are houses which are home to some older people with an intellectual disability. So when the young people and the children came to visit, they started off with playing some games outside. We had hula hoops for them and basketball and things like that. And some of the older ladies joined in. So it was really nice to see the different generations interacting together and having fun. And then the children came to the library for the story. There's a number of challenges in running interactive storytelling sessions. The first is finding a suitable story that you'll be able to get objects for to use. Then taking the time to put it all together. And I used to spend Sunday afternoons, and my parents helped me putting the different pieces together. And during the telling of the story, sometimes you would have to improvise, like you'd be judging how engaged the various children were. And sometimes you just kind of have to switch it up a bit and ask a particular child a question or to do an activity just to keep them involved. And also one time I had quite a sleepy class, and I spoke to someone afterwards, and she said if it was her, she would have asked him to do some jumping jacks. Then there was lots of successes. They really enjoyed having a visitor into their class, and they loved introducing themselves. And they really enjoyed being active participants in the stories. And I would ask questions as we went along, so they really had fun. And sometimes the teachers would do extra activities with the children before or afterwards around the theme of the story. So then they felt a sense of responsibility that they were helping out. And for me, I really enjoy being in the classroom with the young people and using my own creativity. Moving on then to adults, I did multisensory stories with 2 groups of adults attending. They were attending day services beside where I work, and they had severe to profound intellectual disabilities. I purchased bag books from the UK. They cost about £55 sterling plus postage, and it's a multisensory story. So you get a short story, and for each line of the text, there is an object for people to try out that corresponds to that line, and the objects appeal to the senses. Now, as these stories are quite expensive, you could make your own, or maybe you could be lucky enough to have some volunteers to make some for you. So anyway, I bought band rehearsal, and that's for teenagers and adults. And I hope this works. This was my favourite item in the pack. This was a disaster now practicing last night, but... so that obviously appeals to the sense of sound. And this one appeals to the sense of smell. I'll pass it around now. The smell might not stay for too many people, but we can try it out. There was nothing in this story that appeals to the sense of taste, but I have previously made a cake for a story, so it can be done. I did the stories during Bealtaine. There's all the different props. Bealtaine is a festival, you probably know about it, in May, about celebrating creativity as we age. So I thought that was nice because with the music, you're being creative. I started the sessions with, I borrowed some maracas, so everyone shook them in order to bring everyone's awareness to what we were doing and to create some lovely energy in the room. The challenges in running this were sometimes people didn't want to try out a particular thing, so that was fine. We encouraged everyone to pass the objects on and to share and to treat the objects obviously gently, and I had to pay particular attention with that last night. And also some of the people were non-verbal, so like they would tell us how they were finding it through their body language. The successes were offering people an opportunity to try something different. Sometimes people tried things out, whereas the staff, their care staff who knew them well, had come in with them and they thought they wouldn't be interested, but they were. And one lady was just smiling so much, she really enjoyed it. So everybody, some people may not have liked every aspect, but everyone at least enjoyed some part of the story. And for me, I got to work with people with severe to profound disabilities and also with the staff, so that was really nice. And while they may already enjoy someone reading a story to them and looking at pictures, this added an extra dimension. And there's research published this year online in the Journal of Intellectual Disabilities Research, I think it's, which there was 2 groups. Some people were given in multisensory stories, they were read them and shown all the objects, and others were given regular stories. And over time, they were repeated every so often. Those people who were shown the multisensory stories, it kept their attention more than the other group. And I have read before that if a story is repeated, sometimes the person will start to anticipate what's going to happen next. So it kind of shows that they're getting engaged with it, which is really nice. So moving on then to older adults, and I was actually going to apply to volunteer with Fighting Words, but then I ended up kind of getting involved in this in work instead. One of the people who was involved with me with the multisensory storytelling joined me to run a book club and writers group with 4 older ladies who have mild to moderate intellectual disabilities. And over 4 weeks, we asked each person to bring an object that they own or a photograph, and we used them to create stories. So the objects, they brought photographs such as of dogs, of young children, and someone brought a photo of a deceased relative. And then the objects were holy water, an African doll, a Valentine's card, and a rose, and many other things. And so we encouraged them to use their imagination, and we put stories together. And if they got a bit stuck, we might ask a question there that to help them get some direction. Now, we wrote the stories in the house where 3 of them are living. Then we all went to the library together to find pictures, so they could pick out pictures on the internet to go with the stories, obviously adhering to copyright. We wrote the stories in easy read, using easy read format. So you have the picture on the left, and then short, easy to read sentences on the right with a big font. And they were shown, a lady showed them to some of the staff, and they thought they were really lovely, and they could really see the members' personalities shining through. So then we decided to launch them to celebrate. And so we were given €200 to get some books printed. And then we put together a video on PowerPoint with photographs of the ladies making the books and with their objects. And one of their housemate of theirs suggested we use My Heart Will Go On as the soundtrack to the video, because one of the stories was called The Old Floorboards and the Titanic. So we had the launch, and one of the ladies read a story out, and we showed our video, and everybody really enjoyed it, and it was a wonderful experience. And so just to end, most people enjoy a good story, and there are things that we can do to enhance the experience for some of our users.